The tremors started subtly at first. A vase cracking across a room when Aella merely slammed a door. The ground beneath her feet shuddering with an accidental stomp during practice. A tree limb snapping high above her head as she merely thought of its presence. The obsidian gauntlet, once her instrument of victory, had become a chaotic storm of power, its surges growing more frequent, more unpredictable. Her attempts to control it were failing. She felt like a trapped animal, the immense energies threatening to tear her apart, or worse, to lash out and destroy everything she held dear. The whispers in the court had changed. Now they spoke not of her strength, but of her instability. Fear mingled with awe. Isolated by the very power that had once elevated her, Aella knew there was only one person who could truly help. She found Lyraeus in his study, surrounded by an avalanche of scrolls and crumbling texts, his brow furrowed in concentration. The air in the room hummed with the scent of old parchment and the faint, sweet smell of forgotten incantations. When Aella entered, the gauntlet on her arm pulsed ominously, casting an inky shadow that momentarily darkened the room. Lyraeus looked up, his gentle eyes immediately sensing her desperation. It's breaking me," Lyraeus confessed, her voice tight with a raw fear she rarely allowed herself to show. "I can't control it. It feels like the world is pushing back through it, and I'm just—" Lyraeus nodded, his gaze solemn. He stood and walked towards a large, intricately drawn diagram he had been poring over, tracing lines with a slender finger. "It is not breaking you, Aella. It is seeking balance. And you are right, it is a conduit. But not just for physical might. The obsidian gauntlet was forged not for war, but for harmony. It draws upon the deep, ancient energies of the world itself. The pulse of the earth, the flow of the rivers, the whisper of the winds, even the collective will and emotions of all living things. It amplifies them, yes, but its true purpose is to harmonize them." He turned to her, his eyes glowing with intellectual fervor. "The gauntlet has been amplifying the chaos, the pressure, the weight you've felt. But it can also amplify calm, focus, and connection. You don't master it by force, Aella. You master it by listening." Over the next few days, the grand tournament champion became a student again, guided by a scholar whose strength lay not in brawn, but in brilliance. Lyraeus devised a unique ritual, not of combat, but of introspection. He led Aella to a secluded glade, far from the clamor of the court. He had her meditate amidst ancient trees, teaching her to feel the subtle currents beneath the earth, the gentle stir of the wind, the slow, rhythmic beat of life around her. He used ancient chants, not as spells, but as tools for focus, guiding her breath, her thoughts. He had her trace intricate patterns in the dirt, not to activate magic, but to create a mental map of connection. He spoke to her of balance, of accepting the flow, of becoming one with the power, rather than trying to dominate it. At first, Aella struggled. Her warrior's instincts screamed for control, for aggression. But under Lyraeus' patient guidance, she slowly, tentatively, began to let go. She felt the gauntlet hum, not with erratic surges, but with a steady, resonant thrum that mirrored her own calming heartbeat. She felt the ancient energies of the world flow through her, not at her. On the final day of the ritual, Aella stood in the glade, the obsidian gauntlet a natural extension of her arm. There was no aggressive posture, no strained effort. She simply was. She extended her hand, and a gentle breeze, perfectly controlled, lifted a single fallen leaf and held it suspended in the air. She willed it to spin. She concentrated, and the faint, distant sound of a cascading waterfall filled the glade, as if brought closer by her will. This was a new form of mastery. Her strength was no longer a brutal force, but a harmonious extension of the world's own power. Her mind, guided by Lyraeus' quiet intellect, had tamed the chaos. The weight of the world had not vanished, but Aella had learned to carry it, not as a burden, but as a living part of herself. Lyraeus watched, a profound sense of fulfillment warming him. His true strength, the strength of knowledge and understanding, had not just saved the woman he loved, but had unlocked a deeper, more profound power within her than any blade ever could.